Hello! Welcome to Goodnight Flagstaff. I'm Stephanie Hammond. I'm a Flagstaff resident and speech-language pathologist in our public schools. I love participating in this because I love reading and having kids read books and enjoy them. Thank you for tuning in to our community story time. You can find a new chapter from one of our family favorite books at 8 p.m. each weeknight on the Literacy Center's YouTube channel and on Crater Radio, a local online radio station. The previous chapter is replayed on Crater Radio each weeknight at about 7:45, just before the new chapter airs. You can also listen to all previous Goodnight Flagstaff recordings on YouTube. We are currently reading Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. If you'd like to check it out to read along with us at home, it is available in the Hoopla app with your Coconino County Library card. Check one out today. Please email us if you'd like to join our team of readers and connect with your community through stories. All ages are welcome. Our email is goodnightflagstaff@gmail.com. Last time we read together, Nizhoni and the others learn about the 4 sacred mountains because Mr. Yazi has made their train take a detour to Nizhoni, the White Mountain. But it's cold up on the mountain and horn toads freeze in the cold weather. Will they be able to warm up Mr. Yazi before they are shot through with arrows? Okay, so chapter 18. We all stop in our tracks. "I surrender!" Mac yells, throwing his backpack down on the snow and raising his hands. Davery and I do the same. "Who's there?" comes a boy's voice, or at least I think it's a boy. It sounds like a winter wind blowing through pine trees, a soft sound that carries a lot of potential. I shiver when it touches my ears. "Say your names," the voice demands. I look around, but I can't see who's talking. "Hello?" "We come in peace," Davery says calmly. "Don't kill us," wails Mac. I swear I cannot take my brothers anywhere. A figure materializes, slowly separating itself from the white fields of snow. At first, I think it's a statue that I somehow didn't see before. A statue of a boy, maybe 15 or 16, carved from a diamond. His skin, his clothes, everything is made of white crystal rock. He's wearing long pants, a loose shirt, a shell necklace, and matching earrings, and he has a bandana tied around his head and knotted to the side. The morning sun illuminates the angles of his face, the crook of his elbow, the bend of his knees, so that he sparkles like a prism Dad hung in the window to catch the light. But he can talk and move, and he's holding a bow and arrow in his hands, knocked and aimed directly at me. "Davery!" I yelp, my hand squeezing his arm. "I see him," he says. "What do we do?" He steps forward, his hands still raised, and says again, sounding more official than before, "We come in peace." The crystal boy narrows his eyes, and his hands grasp the bow a little tighter. "I don't think that's working," I whisper through teeth clenched in a smile. "Do you have a better idea?" "As a matter of fact, I do." "Mr. Yazi," I say to my shoulder, "I know you're frozen and all, but it would really be good if you woke up about now." "Who are you talking to?" the boy asks suspiciously. "How can you talk if you're a statue?" Mac asks. "I am not a statue," the crystal boy says, sounding like a slightly irritated wind blowing around the inside of a glass bowl. "I am the guardian of this mountain. I belong here, and you do not. More importantly, I'm asking the questions." He turns clear eyes toward me, and I believe I asked who you were talking to. See, I say, trying to sound reasonable and not terrified. It's my friend. He's a horn toad, but he's very wise, and he brought us here, but then it was so cold that he kind of froze, but I'm sure he'll wake up." The crystal boy gives me a look, and I stop. "You're talking to a frozen lizard?" he says ominously. "And you think I'm weird because I'm made out of crystals? Who's the real weirdo here?" "Well, when you put it that way," I squeak. For a minute, it looks like he's going to shoot us with the arrow on principle. Then his face breaks into a grin and he lowers the bow. "Why didn't you say so?" He returns the arrow to his quiver and drapes the bow over one shoulder. He takes a step toward us and we all take a step back. He laughs. "I won't hurt you. For now." He leans over to peer at the neck of my hoodie. "Yaate, Suche," he says. "Welcome back to Nizhoni." The crystal boy holds out a hand. I understand what he wants, and I lift Mr. Yazzie gently from his impromptu bed and place him in the boy's outstretched palm. The crystal boy blows across the toad's frozen body. "Won't that make him colder?" Mac asks. "No," says the crystal boy. "Watch." And sure enough, Mr. Yazzie stirs back to life, stretching and yawning like he's just awakened from a nice nap. He opens his eyes and looks up sleepily at the guardian of the mountain. "Well, Ya'ate, my old friend," he says. "Don't suppose you have a place where we could warm up? Seems these old bones can't take the chill like they used to." "Of course, Grandpa," the crystal boy says. "And then I'd like to introduce you to your friends." "I'd like you to introduce your friends." The crystal boy, who tells us his name is Rock Crystal Boy, but we call him RC, leads us across the snowy field to a small house in the distance. The structure is 8-sided and sort of a low and wide structure. I recognize it as a hogan, a traditional Navajo dwelling. It looks surprisingly snug and cozy, and a stream of blue smoke wafts merrily from the pipe protruding from the center of the domed roof. RC leads us inside, hanging his bow and arrow by the door. We all hurry in, grateful for the fire that's burning in the wood stove in the middle of the large open room. There's a big couch, a table and chairs, and RC tells us to take a seat. Minutes later, he brings each of us a mug of tea. He pours Mr. Yazzie's onto a plate for easy drinking. "Now, if you could introduce yourselves," RC says. "I'm Nizhoni," I say, waving. Mr. Yazzie makes a strangled noise. "Not in that way, child. The proper way. Give him your name and clans." "Oh, you could have told me that." For once, I'm glad Grandma made us learn our clans and the Navajo way to greet people. "Ya'ate," I say, using my formal voice. "My name is Nizhoni Begay. My mother's clan is Towering House. My father's clan is Bitter Water. My maternal grandfather's clan is the Mud People clan, and my paternal grandfather's clan is the Crystal Rock People." RC shakes my outstretched hand. "Crystal Rock clan, did you say?" I nod. "Then we're related. You are certainly my granddaughter." But you're not much older than me," I say in a polite tone as possible. RC laughs. "Thanks for the compliment. I do adhere to a rigorous skincare regime, but I assure you I am much older than I look. I've been the guardian of this mountain since the beginning of this world. What matters, though, is that we're related." "Why does that matter?" Mac asks. "And who are you?" RC asks. "I'm her brother." "Well, introduce yourself right away," I say, elbowing him. Mac holds out his hand to RC, stating his name and clans the same as mine. RC shakes his hand and smiles, and then Davery follows suit. His clans are totally different than ours, and his mom's side isn't even Navajo. But as Grandma once explained to me, Navajo people like to know who you are, whether you're Navajo or not, so Davery saying his maternal clan is African American is just fine. "You wanted to know why it matters that we're related?" RC asked Mac once the introductions are gone. "Because that means we share ka'e." "And what is that?" Mac asks. "Well, it's very complicated, but I think it is enough for you to know that it means I take care of you and you take care of me, because we are extended family." "I like that," Mac says. I don't say it, but I like it too. "So perhaps now you can tell me why you've come to my mountain and what I can do to help you." "Thanks. I mean, hey, I add quickly, remembering the Navajo word. It seemed like the right thing to say, since we're talking to a Navajo elder, and it must be, because Mr. Yazzie smiles at me encouragingly. I vow to practice speaking my language more often in the future. "Well, we are looking for a white shell to take to Spider-Woman as a gift," I say. "Can you help us?" "Not just any white shell," Mr. Yazzie adds hastily. "It must be perfectly formed. No chips, breaks, or scratches." "There are many shells here," RC says, tapping his chin in thought. "I am very busy and cannot help you look, but I can show you where a perfect shell might be found." He doesn't look that busy, but maybe there are secret guardian duties I don't know about. RC stands up from his seat and walks to the small window facing east. "See the white peak in the distance?" he says, pointing toward the snow cap with a push of his lips. "Walk that way until you reach the base of the mountain, and you will come upon the white shells you seek." "I still don't understand how there were shells on a snow-covered mountain," Mac says. "Don't people usually find shells at a beach?" "It is said that when the holy people made this mountain to mark the easternmost edge of Dineta, R.C. explains. They adorned it with white shells to make it shine in the sunlight and mark its beauty. It is very beautiful, I say. We learned in school that this land was once under water and all kinds of sea creatures lived here, Davery adds. So it is said, R.C. agrees. The world may change around us, but if we look closer, we can always see its bones. Bones? Mac yells. No one said anything about bones. And since it is such a beautiful morning, R.C. says, ignoring him, I will walk with you a ways. Once you finish your tea, of course, and let me find Mr. Yazzie a sweater. We all empty our mugs, and R.C. digs around in a box full of what looks like scarves, mittens, hats, and other cold weather gear until he produces a tiny sweater, the perfect size for a horned toad. It's snowy white, just like the mountains around us, and it looks thick and warm. This should do the trick, little Che, R.C. says as he slips the sweater over the lizard's bony spine. The turtleneck catches on Mr. Yazzie's left horn, but after a sharp tug, it's on nice and snug. Why did R.C. call Mr. Yazzie Little Grandpa? Mac asked me. It's respectful, I explain. He is our elder, after all. Are we ready? The guardian of Nizhoni asks. We all say yes, and he opens the door to lead us back out to the rosy dawn light and pink-tinged snow. If you don't mind, Mr. Yazzie says to me from the table. He gestures towards the little nook on my shoulder where I had him tucked earlier. It was quite nice being up so high. Oh, of course, I say. I reach out an arm and let him climb into his new favorite spot. He snuggles in and says, Onward! And I follow everyone else outside. The snow is deep around the hogan, and we have to slog our way through. It comes up past my ankles, making my sneakered feet cold. But the farther we get from R.C.'s home, the thinner the snow gets, until it's only a sprinkle of frost underneath our feet. We walk for a while, the white peak getting closer and closer, but the sun doesn't rise any higher in the sky. After what seems like hours, R.C. stops. That is what you seek, he says, pointing to something in the distance. Now I can see that what had looked like a snow-capped mountain is actually a massive mound of white shells. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Okay, definitely thousands. Piled higher than my house. A 3-story pile of shells. And somehow I have to find the most perfect one in the bunch. So thank you for tuning in. Join us next time for Chapter 19 of Race to the Sun. Good night, Flagstaff. And somehow I have to find the most perfect one in the bunch. So that's the end of Chapter 13. I hope you enjoyed it and continue to tune in to us. Join us for next time for Chapter 19 of Race to the Sun. Good night, Flagstaff.